You know, Sean, as soon as I saw your video, at the very beginning I felt both shocked and kind of sad for what happened to you. I was sad because somebody would actually make a death threat against you, and the people who would do that are no better than the simple mind that they're making the death threat against. I was kind of shocked because typically it's fundamentalists such as yourself that are making death threats or just plain burning people at the stake for disagreeing with them. Nevertheless, as soon as I got a little bit through your video, any sense of sadness or remorse or pity that I had for you simply went away. You go on in any of your videos and wage war against something as fundamental and basic as evolution without having a simple clue of what evolution is, how it works, or what it says. You're extremely dishonest. When even confronted with peer-reviewed research and scientific evidence saying, hey, you're wrong, this is why you're wrong, do you instead say, hey, you know what, you're right, I'll go ahead and I won't say that anymore? No. You acknowledge that you're wrong, yet you continue saying it, just if it supports your point of view. For another example of dishonesty, you really don't have to look any further than my video response to you, in which I absolutely blasted you for being ignorant enough to say that evolution was unfalsifiable. So what do? You change the name of your video to How Evolution Can Be Falsified, completely contradicting what's in the video, then make a post basically rebutting my rebuttal saying, see, did you even watch the video? The name of it is How Evolution Can Be Refuted. Yet, I mean, that's just a perfect example of your dishonesty yet again. But, I mean, nevertheless, you furthermore go on and you blame Thunderfoot. If you want to know why people hate you, take a look at your videos. I mean, it's absolutely hideous and it's apparent from the get-go. You're an absolute beacon of ignorance that goes on to remind us of our shameful past where anybody who disagreed with simple minds or superstition was either burned or stoned. And it's painful to simply watch you go on and willfully stay that way. You go on also to sit here and complain about hatred, when in reality you're a complete beacon of hatred and intolerance. Everybody who disagrees with your myopic, bastardized interpretation of the Bible is subject to eternal damnation and torture at the hands of a god. And that's completely just, that's against everything that Christianity and God has to say about. Instead of preaching about, if you disagree with me, you're going to burn, why don't you preach about the loving God? Why don't you preach about how God would love you and save you and things like that? Why do you instead have to insist on preaching about a sadistic God who's obsessed with torture and a borderline pyromaniac for people who can't agree with him? That's not the God that I would worship. I mean, that's the God of a simple mind who wants to feel justification for their actions. I mean, you actually do a lot more harm to Christianity than you do good. Do you think there's a war on Christianity? There's not. There's simply a war on simple minds who would like to move our education system and things like that actively back into the Dark Ages. I mean, you go on and your lack of a grasp on reality is even more exemplified by you attacking venomfangx. Do you even realize why venomfangx had to make an account? It's because your simple mind viewed censorship as an acceptable form of argument. Instead of actually rebutting things people would say, you would simply delete them. Well, that is to say, you only delete comments of people who oppose your point of view. Everybody else you leave, which is extremely interesting. Well, not interesting because it's rather clear-cut, and there's nothing to really explain about that. But had you not been such a simpleton and a dictator and a tyrant, there would be no need for venomfangx to even create an account in the first place. So you blaming him was actually somewhat funny. And despite all this, I mean, you're still completely unable to concept or to grasp the concept of your own personal flaws or any kind of accountability whatsoever in this. I mean, you personify very well the dangers of fundamentalism in the sense of you constantly mistake your will for the will of God. And as such, you feel justified lying, deceiving, just completely manipulating any sort of evidence or reality in general to go ahead and do his will, which is exactly why fundamentalism is so dangerous, that and the fact that you're theologically bankrupt to begin with. I mean, once again, I mean, it's just the if you disagree with me, you're burning in hell, this and that. I mean, whatever happened to the God of love? I mean, even the Bible itself says that there is no fear in love. So why are you preaching fear? I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. I mean, even you try and mask your egocentrism by saying that you're out here to save people, but that itself is just an extension of your egocentrism because it has you one up. You're going to save somebody. You have the ultimate gift. You have the ultimate ability. You're that special that you're able to save people from eternal damnation. Again, you're not sincere or genuine about it in the least. You're incompetent, and it's just an extension of your own personal legend. Lastly, you go on and you constantly remind everybody of how they're going to have to stand in front of God on Judgment Day and answer for their actions. Well, I wonder how you feel obligated or in a position to say that. You, somebody who has lied consistently in his name, somebody who is mutilated his word to fit your own medieval mind and your medieval agenda. I mean, somebody who's committed the sins of both presumption and pride at every left turn, not to mention judgment. I mean, who are you? You sit here and you tell us and ask us what we're going to say to God when we stand before him on Judgment Day? You need to be far more concerned about how you're going to be explaining your actions.